We're going to talk a little bit about, for a few years now, Dark Horse has been continuing Buffy and also Angel out of television into comics, and we're entering season 10, which is kind of a big deal. That means that we're officially 3 seasons in after the television show, and the enthusiasm has not died down at all, because why would it, right? It's Buffy and Angel, right? Here today, to my right, are 2 gentlemen who are intimately involved with this project, and I want to let them introduce themselves right now.
I said this project. We're going to say each other. Yeah. My wife might be shocked to hear that. I know. Hi, I'm Chris Gage. I wrote Angel and Faith, and I'm going to be writing Buffy season 10, and my awesome artist Rebecca Isaacs from Angel and Faith is coming with me, and you'll hear some more news about season 10 over the course of this panel.
Yeah, we're going to talk a little bit about somebody else that'll be working on the books this season. I'm Scott Alley. I'm the editor-in-chief of Dark Horse. I've been editing the Buffy comics since, I think, 1998, when we weren't really doing it with Joss so much, and then gradually he got more and more involved in it, leading to season 8. In what year was that? Was that like
2006.
2006. We launched season 8 as the official continuation of the TV show, and we've kept evolving and kept going with it ever since. As Chris said, he wrote season 9 of Angel and Faith. Andrew Chambliss wrote most of Buffy season 9, and we wrapped all that stuff up in September and October last year, right? Is it okay to spoil stuff? How many of you have read to the end of season 9? Not enough of you. Tell them where the Dark Horse booth is.
So booth 201, just the very front of the hall. You can stock up on season 8 and 9 trades and get caught up. And if you guys want to head there now and head back, we'll just hang out and wait for you.
You guys can get caught up, yeah. But so without spoiling anything, there were some big changes at the end of season 9. Season 9 really saw the main group fractured, split apart quite a bit, and toward the end, things pulled back together again. And as season 10 kicks off, a big part of what we're focused on in the Buffy title, and I'll let Chris talk to this more, is really pulling the core characters back together and rebuilding those relationships. And in Angel and Faith, I guess the title gives it away that Angel and Faith season 9 was very much about those 2 characters together. They had a mission that they were on. I guess we shouldn't say if they've succeeded, since you guys are a little behind. And I think the last trade comes out next month.
Yep, next month.
Angel and Faith season 9. But season 9 was all about those 2 characters together. As we go into season 10, the one spoiler, I guess, is that they're apart. Angel and Faith are in the same book, but very much separated, and that's part of what the story's about. You want to tell them a little bit about what the Buffy story's about?
Sure. Buffy season 10, we have the core group back together. And I sit here trying to think of what I can and cannot spoil. It's really the first time since the show ended that all of what I would consider the surviving core group of Buffy characters are all together, and it's going to be very cool. And we will be a big theme of this season, I think I can say this in general terms, is the family that you choose, that you build on your own. Not the people you're blood related to, but rather the family that you create, and what that involves. And I'm being very vague because I don't want to give stuff away. But and then the other thing too is that it's a lot about this. Buffy has always been about life stages in people's lives, and one of the things I don't know how much you guys know about how we do this. At the beginning of before each season, actually towards the end of when a season is ending in the comics, we have a summit, a writer's summit, which includes the writers of the books, which in this case was myself and Victor Gischler, and also Andrew Chambliss, and then a lot of people involved with the TV show. For example, Jane Espenson, Drew Greenberg, this guy who just kept talking about the Avengers. I don't know who he was. He just wandered. Joss was there, of course, and it was great because I'll be honest, when Andrew Chambliss also writes for the Once Upon a Time TV show, and he's taken on more producing duties, and he just wasn't going to be able to. Is it okay if I say this stuff? Yeah. Wasn't going to be able to do a monthly book anymore.
Andrew was the writer on season 9. Andrew was a writer on Dollhouse and then on Vampire Diaries, and he really wanted to stick with the Whedonverse. So he wrote season 9 while he was a regular on Once Upon a Time. It just got really difficult for him to maintain a monthly schedule.
Yeah, and as he takes on more producer duties, it's even more difficult. So
apparently there's 2 Once Upon a Time shows now?
Yeah, yes. So Scott said to me, you know, hey, listen, we like what you've been doing on Angel of Faith. Would you be interested in working on Buffy? And Rebecca said she wants to go wherever you go. So I was like, well, I like the idea of it, but I'm kind of scared because I feel pretty good. Like, I know the characters of Angel of Faith pretty well, but the Buffy characters, you know, I don't know that I feel confident enough to say, hey, this is where Buffy and these characters should go and what they should do. And I know Joss is real busy, and I'm not sure. And then we had the summit, and Joss showed up and just was like, okay. I mean, he's not the kind of guy who sits there and says, this is what you're going to do, but he gets everyone in the room to come up with their best ideas and shares his own. And by the end of it, I was like, I'm so psyched to write this book. So I hope you haven't talked to anyone else about it.
Yeah, we loved what Andrew did on season 9, and halfway through season 9, we knew he wasn't going to stick around for season 10. He was just crushed trying to do both. And Angel and Faith was so good, and the response we got from fans was so great. And when you're making comics, like, sometimes the creative team just knits together so perfectly, you just want to keep them together. And it wasn't just Chris and Rebecca who, like, worked together so well that I always wanted to see them doing more comics together. But the colorist, Dan Jackson, who's a local guy in Portland, he figured out exactly how Rebecca needed to be colored, and Rebecca loved it. The cover artist worked together with Rebecca so well in creating this world. We just knew we wanted to keep everybody together, and Rebecca confirmed that. I think I told you this story. There was a funny day when Sierra, the other editor on the Whedon stuff, she and I called Rebecca, and we said, what do you want to do in season 10? And she said, well, all I want to do is stick with Chris. Whatever book Chris is going to do, I want to do that book. And Rebecca was kind of hurrying to get off the phone because she had to run to like a dance rehearsal or something. And I just want to stick with Chris. Whatever Chris wants to do, I'll do that. And we're like, okay, if that's your only guideline, great, we'll do that. So then we get off the phone with her and we're talking. And the phone rings and it's Rebecca running down the street saying, hey, I just wanted to make sure when I said I wanted to work with Chris, did Joss want to work with me? Did I just talk myself out of a job working with Joss? And I was like, no, don't worry, Joss will only be writing this himself. But yeah, so the idea was to keep those two together, to keep Dan, Steve, the whole team together. And so far, season 10 looks amazing. There's the cover, those are the covers for the first issue. 2 covers on each issue. Steve Morris on your left, and Rebecca on the right.
Oh, and I figured out something I could say. That cover is metaphorical. Buffy is obviously not going back to high school, but the rules of vampires have changed, and she's having to get used to that. In fact, the rules of magic have undergone an adjustment, again, without giving away too much. So, again, the themes of responsibility, people moving into their, I guess the characters are in their mid-20s, right?
Yeah.
Mid-20s. And that stage of life, so that's what it's all going to be about. What else can I say?
Go ahead, don't say anything about the little guy.
The little guy, okay.
I'm sitting right here. You don't have to talk about it.
So we're doing a lot of cool stuff, and we are, oh man, there's so much I want to talk about that I just cannot talk about. I don't know.
Yeah, well, so briefly, you know, when Rebecca and Chris decided they wanted to do Buffy together, Victor Gischler had I read a Deadpool or Punisher thing that Victor did that was just great. So I wanted to get him into the Whedonverse. He was a big fan. He wrote a Spike miniseries for us that I really loved. I thought he did a great job. We got another guy writing Spike right now, which is, he understands the character really well. We'll talk about that momentarily. But Victor did a great job with Spike. Wanted to pull him into the main thing, and when Chris said he was going to do Buffy, we said, okay, we're going to offer Angel and Faith to Victor. And then pulling in an artist. Moving Rebecca and Chris off of Angel and Faith was really risky for us. It was really scary, I should say, because they did such a good job. And people, when we announced the title, Angel and Faith, people were skeptical, like what's the chemistry between these two? Why do they belong in a title together? And people generally responded very, very positively to Angel and Faith season 9. So we had to have a good team. I knew Victor got it. Victor came to the Writers' Summit in LA with Joss and Chris and everybody. I knew Victor got it. I needed to do something really special art-wise. And I was working for months and months to convince Will Conrad to leave his gig at DC drawing Robin, I think, for DC. I needed to talk him out of that book and come back to the Whedonverse, because he had drawn Serenity many years ago for us. One of our best-selling comics, one of our most successful things, even compared to other Whedon stuff, it just blew the doors off. So we managed to, I actually got invited to a convention in South America that Will was at, and I got to spend a week with him, just poisoning him against Marvel and DC, until he finally said, okay, all right, yeah, I'll draw Angel and Faith. And he's really doing a beautiful job with that. I think we don't have any art of that to show, but
We do
follow
a
me
little
on
later.
Twitter. What's that?
We do have a little later.
Right on. Okay.
We've got something else to show after this that we're going to have to wait a second on. So, with that being said, you know, maybe, how many of you guys did read Angel and Faith? All right. So, you know, maybe if you could talk a little bit about transitioning from Angel and Faith to Buffy. I mean, you mentioned that obviously there's a slight level of intimidation coming into a new group of characters, but were you a Buffy fan before working on the Angel and Faith books?
No, I like to tell the story. Until Scott essentially approached me about writing Angel and Faith, I had
Where
never...
did I approach you?
In the bathroom, yeah.
At a comic show.
at-
It's too good for you guys. Just go in the bathroom and look for me.
Oh, man.
Don't tweet that.
Yeah,
please.
no. I think just that's a violation of your parole. So, yeah, I had never seen Buffy or Angel. My wife, Ruth, had actually watched Buffy when it first aired, not me. And the funny thing is, in 2007, which was before this, I happened to be on a train back from San Diego Comic-Con, sitting across the aisle from Joss. And I recognized him, but I never seen any of his shows, but I had adored his run on Astonishing X-Men? Astonishing X-Men, because it reminded me of the X-Men comics I grew up with, which of course, you know, he also did. And so we just talked about comics for a while, so I had met him, never seen any of his shows. So I watched all of Buffy and all of Angel, which is 12 years worth of TV, and loved it. But that's why sometimes when people ask me, what's your favorite season? What do you think of this season versus that season? I'm like, I don't know, because they all blur together. Because I binge watch, like, the ultimate binge watch is 12 years of Buffy and Angel TV shows. So the transitioning from the Angel to Buffy it's interesting because Joss himself has said that he feels like the Angel TV show was almost a different show each season. Whereas the Buffy show was always had a consistency, I think, to it. So the real intimidating part was, as it was when I first started Angel Faith, is these characters have such brilliant, strong voices. You know, Joss has a strong voice, and I just don't want to screw it up. I mean, if I write a bad Spider-Man story, I'm not going to wreck Spider-Man, because so many people have written Spider-Man, and the character is stronger than me. And these characters are stronger than me, too, but I'm writing the official continuation of Buffy. So if I screw this up, people are going to be bummed out, me most of all. But there's something about Joss, and I've talked to, it's also scary because I'm the first person to write the canonical adventures, well, on an ongoing basis, who didn't work on a show with Joss.
That's right. I forgot about that. I didn't think of that. Yeah.
And so it was a little scary, but again, as we saw in the summit, he has a way of bringing out the best in people, and making you want to do your best, and just steering you enough, but allowing you the freedom. It's hard to explain. It's a chemistry thing. And so now I just couldn't be more excited. We've got 5 issues all scripted already, 2 issues fully drawn, so it's going to be on time. In fact, I think we should release it early. Let's
get it out.
Let's get it out today. There's been another fun thing. When can we talk about it? Okay.
Any minute
Can we talk
now.
about Spike for just a second?
Yeah.
Out of curiosity, though, I want to ask how many people are now going to take trains up and down the West Coast waiting for that time they're on a train with Joss Whedon? That's kind of what I thought.
But now they bring him in a black helicopter. It just comes down, picks him up, and goes.
So we've got an original graphic novel coming up. Normally the Buffy comics are monthly comics that come out. With Buffy season 10 starts in March. Angel and Faith season 10 starts in April this year.